Morning, everybody. It's Marsha Casper Cook, and we are ready to do the show. Got a fun show today. We have spicy romance to talk about with Delta James, Andy Carlisle, Connie Miconi, and Irene Lawless, and me. We're all authors, so we're going to have a great time today. So let's see. This is a live show. So I know people go, why do you want to do live? I said, because
Sure.
I enjoy live. I don't want to cut everybody off. So I'm going to let everybody in and we're live. Irene,
Yes.
hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Good to meet you.
Nice to
One
meet you
set
too.
we got. Okay. Connie,
Hello.
hi. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Well, good. Usually, listen, this is a lot different. I've not met both of you. Delta's not on yet, but it's a very different way than I used to do shows for 16 years. So now I'm in control, and that's good. But the fact is, it works differently. So people that know me, here we go. Delta, are you here?
I am.
Okay, we're all here. Yes. Okay. We were just talking about, I'm just explaining how different this is. But I got this now. Okay. This has been 6 months, I think, of this, and I finally got it. So
Well,
we're
it's
okay.
just it's different than the old one, and it's probably harder for you and me because we were used to the old one.
Well, I did it for 16 years. So I
Yeah.
think it was, and I did it every week. But I have like 1,000 shows. But when I first started on here, I'm thinking, oh, everybody. That's why I keep saying that because it's just like, oh, who is this person talking now? It's me. Okay, so Uh, that's what was happening when you were on the show before. And I was saying to you before, I did a 12 o'clock show at night. One night I was talking to Kristen Lindsay Hager, who does shows with me. So I said, she said, do you want to do a show? I go, hey, yeah, okay. So we did it at 12 o'clock. And actually, it was fun because there's no outside interruption, no, nothing. Mostly everybody's sleeping except us.
Sure.
All right. So we're going to talk about the Spice Girls. So, Delta, why don't you talk about it and let's make sure everybody's in.
Annie's
And,
having trouble getting in, but
uh, uh, okay. It-
so
all right.
but I'll go ahead and kind of
Okay.
start. This is really kind of Connie's brainchild, if you want to know the truth. She and Irene and Annie and I went to a small, informal kind of signing, and we're all there. And there was a bunch of others, and me being me said, "Oh, let's all go to lunch." So we did, and we ended up kind of sitting together. And Connie had been trying for a number of years to find a writing tribe, as do most writers. And she reached out to all of us, and we said, "Yeah, let's give this a go." And we found that we had a lot of similarities, and where we had differences, I think they were good differences, where we could bounce ideas off of one another.
Yeah.
And Irene and I literally live within an hour and a half of each other. And then Connie lives about 2 hours away on the other side of the state, but doable. We're
Yeah.
close enough in proximity physically. And so we just started doing things together and running things by. And then we decided we'd write an anthology. And then that became a whole thing. We did a whole different kind of anthology. And it's just turned into a bunch of really good friendships and,
Yeah.
and people we can trust. And if you send something to one or all of us, that it's not going to go anywhere else and you're going to get somebody's honest feedback. So writing can be kind of insular. And
Oh,
so to
very.
have the
Yeah.
ability to do that is huge for me.
Yeah.
And one thing to note, I want to point out is that before we did the book signing, we had never met. We didn't know each other. It was just like all of us. We were all just kind of drawn to each
Yep.
other. It
Yep.
was a great experience, and I knew that we had hit magic when we were able to do that anthology because it was a challenging piece of work that we put together, and we're all pretty proud of it. Yeah. I think as we should be. I think it was challenging because somebody who shall remain nameless, but whose name is Delta, decided that it would be really good if we made it this really sort of not just set in the same world, but really integrated all the stories so that
Mhm.
when the reader is reading, they get a whole huge, they get the individual stories, but they also get this whole huge book that all just flows seamlessly together. And
Mhm.
that took a lot of coordinating and people giving up their ego and saying, okay, I'm going to do what's best for the group and all that kind of thing to make it happen. And we did. And I'm really proud of us for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that, yeah. It's really funny because when this is a long time ago already, but somebody had said we were having shows and we were just all chit chatting like we are now. And someone said, "Oh, I wish I would lived by you." And I go, "What?" I go, "We're not all in the same room." They thought we were all in the same room. And so everybody that's on these shows, a lot of times when they do anthologies, they have never spoke. So I've had a lot of people, I've had nine actually, people at one time. And it was funny because they never talked to each other. They were texting, but they never talked to each other till they were on a show. So I think people assume that we all know each other
Mhm.
and are
Yeah.
all sitting with us, and we're not. But we, after certainly several conversations, we get to know each other. So, and I want to just let everybody say, maybe they, because they haven't been on before. So, Connie, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I write at CA Miconi. I write small town steamy romance, and my areas that I enjoy writing are interracial romance and later in life, especially like couples aged 40 and up is my
Yeah.
sweet spot.
Yeah, I've done, yeah, later in life.
Yeah, and I already had a small town world established in Mississippi, and I've really enjoyed creating the Florida fictional small town with the other girls here. The other thing I would say about our alliance is that it's a strategic and a business partnership as well. We've really found the power in marketing together and the synergy in creating the world and each having sort of our own tropes and different areas that we write but coming together in the small town world. So it's been life changing for me, career changing, in that we're really hitting the business side together as well.
Mhm.
I
Well,
personally, I
okay,
personally
go ahead.
don't think that social and business have to be mutually exclusive, and I think a lot of people do. And I think that's one of the strengths the four of us brought is that we do see each other as friends, but we also see each other as Connie says, as a strategic business alliance. You know, there's some good to be had by pooling resources.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I think, and that's really the other thing because when I do the shows, I was talking about it last week, is that I, you know, I learn so much from everybody that's on my show. So I think we can all learn from each other.
Mhm.
And that's what makes it fun, I think, and then in my case, I probably learned too much because I keep changing. I thought I knew a lot of stuff, and now I know I'm nothing because I'm talking to everybody. I go, "Oh, that might work, or that might work," but
Mhm.
that's me. All right, so I think, well, Annie's trying to get in, so I sent her another link.
She was in and then she disappeared. But we can make Irene talk.
Okay, Irene. All right.
And they're laughing at Irene.
Yeah.
Twist my arm, Delta.
Yeah, yeah, all right, yeah. Well, the other time, Delta and I were on a phone call, and it was probably more time than we're on a show. We went like, oh my God, how long were we on?
I
All
think
right.
2 hours.
Oh, no, not that long. I don't think so, but it could be. You looked at the clock. Sometimes when you're talking, it just time moves on for some of us.
Mhm.
Okay, Irene, if you're one of those, I get it. Okay. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
so I write small town steamy romance. I have a few series. One is set in Key West. I have another that's a western. Another that's set. It's kind of a lumberjack kind of series set in Wisconsin. And then this whole world that we've created as a group with the anthology, and then in Pelican Point. And um, probably my favorite to write is Enemies to Lovers. I really like Grumpy Sunshine. That's one of the things I specialize in. And one thing that's really benefited me with this group is I have learned so much.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, it's been a year, guys, right? About a year,
A
Yeah.
year?
a little over, yeah. Um, I know you already know this, Marsha, but Delta is a powerhouse. I mean, she
I
if
know.
she puts a book out, she writes all the time. She busts her ass. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much that I've learned just
yeah,
watching her. Like
yeah,
I've really ramped up my own writing. And then I get inspiration from the others. Like Connie has a great aspect. Like she really likes the later in life. She does the interracial. She does all these other things. She
yeah,
really branches out to a lot. Annie, Annie's turned into an incredible powerhouse herself. I mean, and
yeah,
she's really zeroing in on the rom com, which I love, and she's very good at.
Oh God, she's
Um,
great.
yeah,
yeah, and it this whole thing has kind of made me fearless. I guess that's probably the best word to say. Is that other things that I would just go, no, 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 I'd never do that. Now I look at it and go, hell yeah, I'll try that. Sure, sure, I
yeah,
can do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It doesn't hem you in like a lot of people would think. It empowers you. This
Hmm.
whole group. That's probably the best way to describe it. It empowers you.
yeah. I think so. I think that's it. I mean, yeah, I think we all, something about being a writer is different than anything else. I know
Oh
it sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
no, that's totally true.
Yeah, because we just do. You know, I think because we have power when we write, so it's like we think like we don't think like other people. I really am beginning to believe that
I
because
agree.
I can't imagine not writing because when I'm not writing, I'm thinking
Mhm.
About writing.
about
Yes.
writing, about writing.
Yeah.
I can't get Annie on. I'm so sorry, and Annie, you'll come on another time. I'm so sorry. I don't know. It's not working.
That's weird.
It is. Maybe she
I
can
know.
hop on at some point.
Yeah, I'm
If
trying, but then
anybody, if
if
anybody can
something,
do that, it's her.
yeah, I sent her another link too. So I'm trying, but I don't want to lose my show here, which that's
Yeah.
why I can't see now because I don't usually do that when I'm doing a show. Okay. Because then I can't concentrate. I'm not like Wonder Woman, even though I'd like to think so. No, I know I'm not. So that's it. I write a lot of um, angels as characters. There's a character I write, so I think I can think I can do things I can't. So, and all of us know the computer is what it is. You
Yeah.
know, I've been doing this for so long, but it doesn't matter. There's always something they're updating or they're changing. And it is weird that way because we try our best to act like we know everything, but we just don't. So, I'm sorry, Annie. And all right, so Delta, talk about spicy romance and why you started doing spicy.
Because it's what I like to read. It's
Okay.
it's I think if you're somebody who doesn't like to read spicy romance,
Yeah.
I think trying to write it would be like the seventh circle of hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And vice versa. I don't think
Mhm.
I could write a clean romance to save my life.
Mhm.
But I think you have to like what you write. I think you have to believe what you write. It helps if you have experience about
Yeah.
what you write. Although
Yeah.
I will say I haven't been with a shifter. But I think it's just for me, for it to be a good spicy romance, the spicy scenes and the sexual tension scenes and the sex scenes all have to propel the plot forward.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they don't belong there.
Yeah.
If it just feels like it's thrown in there, readers recognize that and they don't
Yeah.
like it. There was a time they took any kind of open door romance they could get because there wasn't a lot of it out there. Now there's a lot of it out there and they're a lot
Yeah.
more particular. They're like, well, why is this here? or this doesn't make sense, or this doesn't make sense for these characters.
I know.
And it's important to make sure the scene is true to your characters, true to your setting. I've read some things that I think, yeah, if you tried that, you'd kill yourself,
Yeah.
or it's in a place that just makes no sense at all. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it has to be. I think it has to ring true. I guess that's the bottom line. It has to ring true.
Right. And like I have trouble because I did write some sexy romance and I'm
Hmm.
writing now sweet romance. And
Hmm.
then I'm thinking, what word can I put in? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm looking at things so differently because I can't swear at all, which is not even human. So I added one word. I
I
had
have
to.
that problem too.
Yeah. Well, it is hard to, when
Mhm.
people are talking, because I do a lot of dialogue, they swear. It's become almost normal now to swear.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that doesn't. Do you? Does any of you know anybody that doesn't swear? I
No,
don't.
no.
No.
No. So when you're talking and then you have to change and say, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't like that part. Because and now they've banned books. I mean, I've had shows on that. I mean, so you don't want to get people mad if they're reading a sweet romance, but even sometimes on Hallmark, they've done things that they never did before, and I go, oh, if they can do it. So I think that's a problem for people that are writers. They don't know where they fit if they've only done sweet and then they go to sexy, which I think is really much more fun in a lot of ways.
Oh
You're
yeah.
free. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a very free form. But the thing about Amazon, maybe one of you wants to talk about the fact of what they do with authors that are sexy writers, how
Well,
it changes.
it depends on it. They can put you, if you go too far, they can put you in what everybody calls the erotica dungeon. Although I know a lot of people who spend their lives in the erotica dungeon and make a small fortune, so I'm not so sure that's bad. I think readers have glommed onto the fact that if they just get because to find a book in the erotica dungeon, you have to have the name of the book and the author's name. So if they
Yeah.
could just put it in there, they can find it anywhere. I don't know that it's that. I don't think that it has the bad karma that it used to have.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's a huge audience for it. A huge,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
it's
it's
the
just
number
a,
one selling genre. Period. It
yeah.
is.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know why they make such a deal about it. Irene, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I completely agree. It's number one. It's very fun to write. I'm like Delta. I couldn't write a clean romance if I tried. Um, and like you, I don't know. And I mean, I was raised by a Marine,
Oh.
so cursing it's in my
Right,
DNA, and I
right,
drop
right.
bombs all the time. And what makes a story genuine and makes it easy to read for readers is if you make your dialogue real. Like
Hmm.
it has to seem like real life, and real life people cuss every day, and
Yeah.
it's natural for me to drop the f-bomb quite a bit, and I just make my dialogue flow, and you make it as realistic as possible, and that's what resonates with people. That's why they like the stories so much. So
Yeah.
I mean, and Delta is she's a lot like, well, I'm a lot like she is. I probably be a better way to say it is that her dialogue is natural, and her stories just really flow,
Yeah.
and even Annie, she, I don't how to say it. Delta, the stories that she wrote previously were on the sweeter side. I don't know that
Yeah.
I.
Yeah. She was on the show. Yes, she
She
did.
Right.
made
Yes.
it.
Are you here?
No, she's not
Oh,
in.
she's not here.
Annie,
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, she says she's here.
Annie, are you here? Annie? No, she's not.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
no.
Yeah. No.
Thought I heard her for a minute there.
Well, I can't see my screen now because
That's
because
bizarre.
I, right. Yeah. I can't see my screen, which is not a good
She
thing.
was, well, Annie was on the sweeter side, and then she got steamy, and I think she's enjoying that a hell of a lot more. And she's really good at it. So
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think she writes truer to herself now.
Yes,
Um,
100%.
Yeah.
and I think that that's what rings true for people is they want your characters and everything about those characters to resonate with
Yeah.
them. I think when the
Connie, I
shifts,
want Connie, what do you think about that?
Well, let me just add real quick about Annie since we're talking about her, and I think she's down as a listener, so maybe she can hear us, but we
Yeah,
can't.
she can hear us. That I know. She can hear us. That
Yeah.
I know.
So I had met her some years ago, and she was struggling to find her stride, and I think she has hit it now. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's through working with us, but she really has hit the mark finally with her comfort zone
Yeah.
because she had so much talent before, but she just couldn't um, get herself out there and reach an audience. And now that she has, it's just exploding. So I'm really happy for her with that. The other thing I would say about the stories resonating is I try to write about real people too.
Yeah.
So many of these romances are, 20 something perfect looking people. And I think that readers really like reading about people they can identify with. My first venture into the Pelican Point world for myself is something I had wanted to do for a while. A curvy girl story, and a woman that has some curves and has some weight and has some flaws, and she's a real person, and she finally embraced all of those things, and through that became a successful businesswoman and finds love in a very unexpected
Yeah.
way, and I think people really like those kind of stories.
Well, CD Gorey does that, and I did a story on her in the magazine EYS. Uh, she writes for curvy women,
mhm.
and I found that really interesting. That's why I did a story on her because not everybody is 100 pounds and
Mhm.
can wear, like, if you look at all the people when they're on these TV shows, they get thinner and thinner. Even when they just start out, if they're not that thin, they get that thin. They make themselves and it's not that comfortable for them. You
Yeah,
know,
I write a
I
lot of curvy girls because I always say I are a curvy girl. What I think is really interesting is you go to these signings and you see some of these women who are writing these perfect,
yeah,
athletic, skinny model types, and they're so far from that it's not even funny.
yeah,
And I think sometimes you go, "Oh, I'd like to be like that." But what I hear from readers is they like my women because they can identify with them.
Hmm.
Either they've
yeah,
gone through something they've gone through, like a divorce or
yeah,
abuse or whatever. There's
yeah,
something they can resonate that resonates with them, and those are the heroines they really like. I
yeah.
think the day of the perfect heroine, where she's perfect in every way,
Well, the
are
Harlequin, the
for a
Harlequin
certain
girl, the Harlequin girl. That's
yeah
what that
are
was. Yeah,
gone to a certain extent. I just don't
yeah,
think they exist anymore, and I think readers are going. Again, I have other options. I can read about women that are like me.
yeah,
I can read about women that I can identify
yeah.
with.
Well, I
And I
think
think,
that it's getting to know yourself and being comfortable. It's hard to do that for
well,
a lot of people.
yeah, I think it is. I think it's a lot of fun, and I do think that those of us who do better and have a better relationship with our readers
Yeah,
are because our readers we're pretty transparent. We're not trying to be something we're not. There's some stories of some authors who are really famous and really successful and have never actually been to a signing that they're supposed to be at
yeah.
because they've hired somebody that goes in their stead. It's not a ghost writer so much as it is a ghost
Oh,
personality.
they don't come.
They
Oh, they
they
have some.
hire a
Oh,
beard basically to go to these things and be the perfect.
wow.
And I think that that's sad that they feel like they have to do that.
Yeah,
But I guess if that works for them, okay. But I think eventually those kind of secrets leak out and people feel resentful. It's like, why
I
didn't
feel
you trust
robbed.
me with the
Yeah.
truth?
I,
Why
I
did you lie to me?
I've said this quite a bit on my shows. I think, like, years ago, people could do many more book signings at, bookstores. And the bookstores have done themselves a great disservice because regular people that aren't writers love to talk to authors. And I
Hmm.
don't know why they did this because it's people enjoy it because a lot of people don't know what to do, how to start. And that's why I've done these shows all the time because I'm always giving information because people that are listening and people that are out there, they don't know what to do and this takes a lot of work. I've had people call me, and Delta knows this too. I've spent time with people on the phone. By the time I'm done telling them what they need to do, they go, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this." It's not for everybody. But if you want to write, just start writing. Try. And
Mhm.
I've said this, call me if you need any help because they don't know what to do. And I think regular people do like to hear people talk about writing because in their mind, a lot of people want to write.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
A-
agree.
And it's in them. It's in them. They just gotta, even
My
myself. Yeah,
my
the
favorite
other, yeah, go
my
ahead.
my favorite one is the person who's written one book and they go, "Now what do I do next?" And I
Right,
look at them and say, "Start the next one." And
right.
they get this stricken look on their face, and
Yeah,
it's
I have
like,
to write another one.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true.
hello.
And for me, I've written different genres. I would suggest to other people to stay in one genre
Hmm.
because for marketing, it's impossible. I have children's books, I have a Holocaust survivor, I have hot romance, sweet. I mean, it's really hard to and people know that I have a million Facebook pages. That's why I can't ever find anything. I have too many things of everything. So my advice is if you stay in romance, I mean, you could
Hmm.
switch a little, but otherwise it's really hard to market.
I think it's really important to stay, especially when you're first getting started, in kind of one genre and one subgenre so that you can build your base from there. And then you can go into adjacent lanes, as they say. But you don't want to be writing horror one day and sweet romance the next because you're going to give readers whiplash.
Right.
I
See
think
that
that,
right. That's absolutely right because start somewhere though,
yeah.
and just stick.
And and make your brand around that something. Make your brand fit. I see when you talk to people about covers and everything, and we all know I'm a bitch about covers,
Yeah.
but you talk to people and readers don't like when they think they're getting one thing by looking at the
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
at the at the cover, and then
Right.
when they open it up, it's something entirely different.
Right.
They get really angry,
They do.
and I have to say I'm going to take the reader's side on this. I do too. I think that's
Yeah.
false advertising. I don't think that's fair to people to
Right.
lead them to believe because I know this is selling more right now, so I'm going to say it's this, but it's
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
I think that's a problem.
yeah. So
You know,
I
but
think
some
one of the things I wanted to say about Pelican Point is we created this world, and everybody knows if you're going to create a world and make it work and everything, you need to have books coming out regularly.
yeah.
The nice thing about having created this world with three other women is I don't have to write all the books.
Right.
We sort of said, okay, let's make, we sort of divvied up the year and who was going to take
Oh,
what and
that's a good
who could do
idea. Yeah,
this.
that part's
And
good.
so books are coming out regularly for readers, which they love,
Yeah.
but it isn't all falling on me or falling on Irene or falling on Annie or falling on Connie. It's a shared responsibility,
Right.
and I think that makes a really good balance for both readers and the authors.
Like I would like to, I probably don't say this as much as I should. And I started writing screenplays. That's one of the things. And I have like 12 screenplays. I've had some option, but not sold. And I always, because I was an agent and I always told people, okay, then start writing a book then, because if your screenplay doesn't sell, use the characters and put them in a book, which I've done. Not everybody can do that, so it doesn't always work. But I feel like if they have a character to start with and then they can, make a book on it, at least it's out of the drawer. In a screenplay, there's nothing, you're done. But if you make it into a book, it's possible it could be taken as somebody could want a movie on it because it happens all the time. that you see, and most of the time when you see a lot of these things, it goes, book by, or, created, or, something like that, created
Right.
by this one, and then another person writes it as a screenplay. So my problem for me is when I do that, which it is okay because a screenplay is shorter. You can't have more than like 110 pages now, 100, because they're minutes. So it's like an hour and a half or two is okay. But for me, that's, I kind of develop my characters in a book, and it does not turn out the same way at all, though. I thought it would, but it doesn't. Like, I just finished a book. It's completely different than I thought it was going to be. So I think that's the fun of writing. So if people are out there and they've had screenplays, put them in a book, because now it is easy to independently publish.
Hmm.
There was no choices years ago. 15 years ago, forget it. You're not going to be able to independently publish as much as you can now in a good way, because there's a lot of info out there.
But I think there's a fallacy in saying that you can just put it out there. Yeah, you can put it out there.
No, well,
No, it won't
right.
cost you, but it won't sell. Annie likes to tell a story of she wrote her first book and she got it covered. She formatted and she put it up on Amazon and she waited for it to go live and to see all the sales.
Yeah,
And of course, it didn't because she didn't do any kind of advertising or marketing or anything.
right.
But that's the thing is people are told it's easy. Anybody can do it. Yeah, you
Right.
can,
But,
but
but,
there's a lot more
but,
that goes behind it.
but there's one thing. If you're long gone, someone can go to a library
Hmm.
and find a book and say, you know what? This could be a great movie. And
Yeah.
that is, so at least it's out there. I'm not saying it's easy to put a book out there. It's very hard. But it remains out there forever. Somebody, if five people bought your book, it's
That's
out there
true.
somewhere. We don't know who buys our books, but and then they could at least start instead of having things in their drawer. Because a lot of writers,
True.
I have them too. All the rejection letters. Writers have a thing about keep. Nowadays, it's different. A lot of people independently publish, so they don't know what it's like to get rejection letters. It's not. It's not easy, but we all. I would say most people that get rejection letters, they keep them. I don't know why we do that. I can't answer that. But it's different now because publishers, they're not really taking as many people as they did. So at least they can work and something they love. So I don't know.
Mhm.
That's just my advice, because I just believe that I don't want people to stop writing because I think they can get better.
Oh, I think we can all get better. I
Yeah.
don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I think you can hone your craft. I think you can work on your craft. I think you can go back, and I'm not saying rewrite all your books, but you can go back and look at a book and think, "Oh, I'd do that differently now. I'd
Yeah.
write that better now."
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's important. I think
Irene, I'm
I totally agree with that.
yeah.
If you look at any author, you read their first book and then you read their last book, you're going to see a major change because they
mhm.
are going
Yeah.
to over that period of time and all the books that they put out, they're going to evolve as an author. I've grown tremendously, and what I do is I don't even like Delta actually reined me in on this because at one point I was going to go back and re-edit all of my earlier books. So she was like, no, 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 don't waste your time with that. Just keep creating, keep writing,
Yeah.
put your energy on writing more books. And I was like, all right. But now I also, what happens is, and I think a lot of authors do this, especially indie authors, because we have to be our own editors. And a lot of
Yeah.
times is whenever we read for pleasure, I'm editing as I'm reading.
I know.
It drives me crazy.
I know.
But
I know.
but I think we all evolve as writers, and it's cool. See, I mean, when I look at the book manuscript I'm working on right now, and it is so much easier to edit my stories now because my writing is better, and
Yeah.
the stories are flowing easier, and it's really cool. It's a great thing to see. So.
Connie, how about you?
Yeah, I would say I'm a little bit different in that I kind of backed into the writing. So I did the marketing and the editing and everything first for others.
Oh,
And,
right.
I
That's
was
good.
thinking
Yeah.
about a conversation a little earlier that we were having about, writers and creative. And I don't consider myself a creative, so I take a very pragmatic approach. One sort of example of that is I plot and outline before I put any words to paper. And, there are many writers that are pantsers and just, can that creativity free flows.
Yeah.
So I'm a little different in that respect. And, I'm sure it does come through in the writing.
I
I
should
don't
I
think
should I should say something. Excuse me for one sec. On my show, anybody could ask anybody questions, so I didn't say that. So you don't have to wait for me. You could, if you have something to say, you could say it. Delta's used to that already, so she knows
I,
that. So
I was going to say, Connie, I'm going to disagree with you. I think you are a creative. And I think just because you plot, now Annie and Irene and I all outline as opposed to
yeah,
plot, which is kind of the middle ground. But I don't think just because you plan it or you plot it, that makes you any less creative than anybody.
right. Yeah, I
And
agree.
I really dislike when people say that. And when you say it, Connie, it hurts my heart. It really does. It's like, no, just because your process
Yeah,
is
right.
different doesn't make it better, worse, or anything else. You're still a creative. You still create characters. You create a story. You create a world. You're a creative.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
agree with that.
you don't see that hurts my heart. I mean, I know I said that. And you guys all know me. I'm not sappy that way. But I'm not. But
Oh, you
it
think?
just does it. When
Oh,
you said
oh,
that, I
okay.
just sort of went,
Surprise.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I need to change my mindset. Right?
yes.
There you
You
go.
need you
You
need
know,
to accept that
everybody
you
does
are
have their own.
creative.
If
See,
you
Connie, you are as crazy as the rest of us.
I have I have notes. I make little notes of scenes because I was used to doing that with screenplays. So as long as I start the conversation in a scene and I write it down, I remember it and then I'll put it where I need it. But that's I have notes everywhere. On my phone, everywhere. So we all just it doesn't just happen. We all have different ways to do it.
Exactly.
But the end result is the book is done and then we go
And
yes,
and
and yeah,
the thing I try to tell people is there is no one right way.
right,
If
yeah,
you run
that's
into
true.
somebody who says this is the only way, my way is the only way, run fast, run and don't stop until they can't see you anymore. Because that's just not true. What works for me doesn't work for somebody else. That doesn't make my way better. It doesn't make their way better. It's different. It is.
Well, I would say that Delta, that you're in my head a lot when I'm writing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I try to get you out of
I'm
it
so
because I go,
sorry.
I say I try to get you out of it. But I'm thinking like, how does she write all of that so fast? I can't. When I did screenplays, I could. I can't. But I see. I go off if I look up if I look in the on my phone. I go, oh, book by Delta, Delta, and I'm going like, oh, she probably had 20 out to my one. So I think you are one of the fastest writers I've ever seen out of anybody I know, and I do know a lot of people. It's amazing, but you do it. I
And
just can't.
she writes about what, 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
every day. I
yeah,
can't
I know.
imagine
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. I do. And I have my life set up to do that.
right,
That's not how everybody wants to live, and that's okay too.
right,
I don't think my way is the only way or the best way or the this way.
right,
It's just my way. It's just the way I do.
right. Exactly,
And
exactly.
and I get upset when people say, "Well, I can't do what you do." No, you can't because you're not me. But
Right.
it doesn't mean you
Right.
can't do
We
as
are
well
all
or even better
individuals.
than me.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I tell myself when I sit down. I go, just do, I do talk to myself quite a bit. I go, you can do this and you can finish this. And just sit there. And so sometimes when you think you might not be able to do something and you sit down to write, all of a sudden it comes. But if you just sit there and think it's not coming, it won't work sometimes. Sometimes you just have to get on your computer and let it go.
Mhm. I always tell people not to be concerned about number of words.
Yeah,
People, I'm going to
right.
write 5,000 words a day or
Yeah, right,
2,000
right.
words or
Yeah.
10,000 words,
I don't
whatever arbitrary number they pick. I
yeah,
always tell them, don't do that. Don't commit yourself to that because that'll drive you nuts. Because
right,
some days the words just flow and it's like you can't keep up with them.
right.
And some it's like, you're having to chip it out of ice.
Yeah,
It's just for me, if you want to get your writing career going, you want to do this, commit to a number of a time limit
yeah,
or a time minimum. And I've told people, I don't even care if it's 10 minutes a day because some
right,
people, that's all they have. But if it's 10 minutes a day, every day,
right.
consistently, you will
Yeah,
begin to build something.
yeah,
Like I said, I write for 12 hours a day. I've got my life set up so I can do that.
right.
Not everybody does, and I know that. So
Yeah.
to say, I have a friend who's a mom and she has two teenagers, and she was going through a difficult time with her now ex-husband, and she had a job, and she had this, and she had that, and she was just like, I just don't see why I can't do what you do. And I said,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
not even comparing apples to oranges. You're
Yeah.
comparing apples to kumquats. They're not even in the same.
Yeah.
How we live our lives is completely different. You
Right.
know,
When
so
when I think like that, I go, I never wanted to be like anybody else. I didn't. Some people do want to be like other people. So I think that, if you're a writer, and you don't have confidence, just if you keep writing, I think you will get more confident. It doesn't work for everybody naturally, but I think, we all think, the reviews, if this review is bad, I know I always felt that it was horrible that people will stop writing because they don't get. I mean, I'm not saying you should get 50 bad reviews, but if they get one bad review, they get so upset, and you really can't
yeah,
because it's just one person.
it's
There's a
one
whole
person's
world out
it's
there.
it's one person's review of one book on one day.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I think that's one of the things showing horses and dogs taught me. It's one judge's opinion of your
Right.
dog or your horse on that day
Right.
in that ring. It
Right.
could be a totally different thing the next day, but on that day, you know, it was what you wanted.
Yeah. So, Connie, look, what's your day like? I mean, do you write? Do you just get up and write, or do you do it at a different time? Or Irene, either one of you, can talk about that.
Well,
How do you?
I'm sure
What?
it's different for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we know that Delta can dedicate to it. So the quickest way I'll say it is that I had to buy my writing time, and by that I mean that um, the sort of the administrative tasks that come with marketing, I used
Hmm.
to do that as a gig, and then it's easy for me to do that, and then I found that I was spending more time on that than writing words. So I hired a PA, and the other sort of synergy that we as the Spice Girls have is that we're all using the same marketing person now, and she's wonderful, and she's able to do all of these things for us. And so I've kind of said that I hired her so that she would take care of everything, so that I didn't have any excuses for not writing. So I have bought my writing time through that. My days are a little unpredictable in that I'm now a caregiver for my parents, and that takes quite a bit of time for me, and I have to kind of take one day at a time. But
Yeah.
like Delta said, if I can just get 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, I'm building on something and I'm working towards something. I have had to establish some, by putting things on pre-order. I've, established some deadlines for myself to help manage my time as well. But I do have a lot of balls to juggle, as many people do. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the way that I do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a caregiver too for my mom. Yeah, listen, as long as we all find the best way for us, it's like everybody is different. So I think the thing is that when you're writing, we all have our own style. So it's really nice that you can all write together and understand each other, because I do think writers understand each other, and sometimes our regular friends just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another reason I really like the accountability that
Yeah,
you get with, having a dedicated group. So that's
yeah,
another big plus for me.
yeah. Yeah, I think that certainly helps because, when you're talking to a writer friend, they get it, and our characters are so important to us. They're like there are people. I mean, I always say that, but they're like when I write like a lot of family and relationships. So I I enjoy listening to them talk, because it's coming from me, but I don't actually know always, which you all understand. We don't know what they're going to come up with, but they do. So I think, you know having friends that understand what we do is important. At least
Irene,
one or two.
Irene, you're being really quiet.
Oh, I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
I agree with everything you say. I mean, I like what Connie said about, having some accountability, but, and we do. But at the same time, we also are very considerate of each other in that, if I have a bad day or I miss a deadline or a story isn't flowing or something, or I get a bad review, right? And then I go to Delta and I'm like, oh, this is just terrible, terrible. And her immediate thing to me would be shake it off. Shake it
Yeah.
off. Go
Yeah.
right. You'll be fine. Everything's good. And that we all bolster each other, which I
Mhm.
love. I love that about this group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to we stay away from all the negativity that's out there, and it's like we're just this core group, and we have a chat that we have going on all the time, and we're always lifting each other up and congratulating each other, and it's a really cool experience, and it just makes you want to keep writing.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Well, right. I agree on having somebody, like you're all, you're on the same page, but you're not on the same page, but you're all together and you get it. So I
Yeah.
think that helps make strong writing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
yeah.
percent
Yeah.
I think having people, like I said, you can trust and you can say, this scene just isn't working for me. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
And having it come back and know, even if it's somebody criticizes it, which I never mind, but then I'm weird that way. Um, you know that it's done with the best of intent. I never doubt anybody in this group's intentions. I
Right.
never think anybody here is trying to
Yeah.
snowball somebody or
Yeah.
sandbag somebody or do something wrong.
Right.
You know, whatever is said with the best of intentions.
Yeah. I
Um,
think because there's not jealousy. If you start, jealousy is a very bad thing.
oh yeah,
It really is, but some people are, and that's who they are. So, but that never works, for me, because you are who you are. I do think, we keep coming back to saying that, but that is the truth. We are ourselves. So, at some point, you have to say, this is who I am. And when you get to that point, I think you feel a lot better about everything.
Oh, yeah. And we also have to remember it's not a competition.
Right,
No.
no,
exactly. No, no,
I mean,
it's not.
honestly, if we were going up against Delta, we'd be done. Absolutely
not
done.
necessarily. Speed contest, maybe, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
yeah, right, right, right. That's
I,
the thing.
I,
That's the one thing I don't like about Amazon. I hate all those numbers. I think that is detrimental to every author
I don't think
because
so. I'm going to
I think it
disagree with
is.
you.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
like
it's a
it.
great way to judge how you're doing
I don't know.
in the marketplace. And now, if you write because it's your passion, it's your hobby, then yeah, those numbers will drive you crazy, and you don't need to pay any attention to them. But if you want to make a living as a writer, then you have to pay attention to those things. And I don't think it makes you bad or there's any bad numbers. It's just an indicator of how you're doing compared to the market. And for me, and I've been accused of being very mercenary, that's important. I want to make a living as a writer. I want to make
Yeah.
a good living as a writer. And one of the things I've been able to do with these ladies is share some real numbers. And I don't share them to impress them or to anything else. It's more like, this is what's possible.
Yeah. Well,
I
I
was
think it is
very,
possible, but I
yeah,
think for most people, unfortunately, they can't make a living at this. They don't. I mean,
It's challenging, that's for sure.
it's
Yeah.
very challenging. They can make money, but it is very challenging because it is true. If you have a lot of books, it's so much easier because they've got an
Mhm.
assortment. But if you have just a few books, you have to keep writing. That's the thing. Delta was right on that. And, is that you have to keep writing.
Yep.
Yes.
Start the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Well,
no matter how long it takes, you have to just be doing it,
Yeah.
not pretending you're doing it. Just do it. And I also think audiobooks are helpful. So I think there's a lot of ways that people can make money, but I do have to say, I think it's very difficult for most people. That at least over the last 16 years, I've seen that. It's hard to make a living.
I'd
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I don't mean that it's not good to not watch what you're doing, but sometimes people that are writing, they go like, "Oh, how did those people get 10,000 reviews?" And I really don't know how. And I don't know who's going to read like 1,000 reviews of yours. I don't People don't usually do
Yeah.
that. I think writers look at other writers, but I'm not sure people care all that much. If you've got a decent amount of, good reviews, I think that people will give you a shot and they'll read your book. I mean,
I
I
think
think they
that
will.
I think that reviews can come into play if somebody's on a limited budget and they're looking at two books and they're not in KU and they're looking at two
Yeah.
books and they're going, which one do I read? I think then they go to reviews and go, well, what did other people think?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't know.
and so, but I don't think they're critical. I think there are other things that come into play first. I think for me, I read. This is terrible to admit, but I will. I read the first. I always read the first 50 reviews. After that, it's sporadic whether I read them or not, because it's
Yeah.
those first 50 reviews that plug you into the Amazon algorithm.
Uh,
You can say that's not fair, that's not right, that's not that. That's fine, and I don't disagree. I'm just telling you that's the truth.
well, right. I think that, and I think there's a lot of people that have been on the shows and talking about the Amazon ads. And, if you are on a limited budget and you start doing these things and you stop, that's it. You have to continually be doing the same type of things to keep you at a certain spot. And it does become expensive to do those things.
Oh yeah,
Even I boost a lot of times, but Facebook, it's not what it was.
no, I
So
mean
it
it's
doesn't work like it did.
there's all kinds of ways, and again, what works right for one person writing one genre doesn't work right for another, and
Irene,
or there are
I mean,
things.
I wanted to, let's see what they say. Irene, what do you say about, marketing? And both of you, Irene or Connie, which one wants to take that? I just would like to
Well,
hear what you,
the marketing can seriously get out of hand very, very quickly. I will tell you that.
yeah,
Before we started on with the same PA, so our PA Renee is a whiz at marketing, so she handles that for us
yeah,
now. And before that, I handled the marketing because in my previous job, I was a marketing director, so it was easy for me to kind of latch onto that. I was spending a hell of a lot of money every month, and the results were okay. They
yeah,
were all right. They weren't great. Um, and then when I handed everything over to Renee, it was a relief because I didn't realize how time consuming it was. And I just kind of let go, and she knows how to get the numbers that you need
yeah,
at a fraction of the cost. And it was absolutely liberating.
yeah,
It's a huge administrative task. And in fact, I had a lady who I met not too long ago who just wrote a book, a romance, and it's her first novel. And she was texting me and she said, I had no idea how difficult it was to market a book. She said, when I
yeah,
was writing, I never would have started if I had known all that. And I was like, no, 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 no.
yeah,
That's the wrong attitude to have. Write the next book. I
yeah,
said, don't worry about all that stuff. I said, just keep writing, keep producing. I said, when you hit 5, that's when you start marketing hard.
Mhm.
That's when you start getting yourself out there. Um, and it's so easy to fall off the side, just to jump off and say, I'm not doing this
yeah.
anymore. And it's all about you just keep producing. It's so much easier to market, I think, if you have, a solid catalog behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can find ways to organically market. So, another thing about the synergy that we have now is we're meeting each other's readers,
Hmm.
and that's one of the best ways to get out there and multiply the people that discover your books and learn about you. So that's one great thing about working together.
Right.
Well, the other thing is the one advertising piece you own is your newsletter, right?
Yeah.
Well, we all agree about that. And so instead of my just having my newsletter to put my stuff in, I have mine, I have Annie's, I have Irene's, I have
Yeah.
Connie's, and then we have a Spice Girl newsletter.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
so I went from one newsletter to five newsletters.
Right.
I mean, and you never know when you're going to catch somebody else's readers. They may not have ever read me before, and they suddenly go, "Oh, that looks good," or "Oh, I don't want to read paranormal, but oh, here's this thing in Pelican Point, and I really like that world." And so they'll go try that, and then they're like, "Well, gosh, this is kind of good," and so there, I think, like Connie said, there's a lot of synergy that goes in there.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, Delta, for the record, your books get a lot of clicks on my newsletters.
Oh, good. I like to hear that. I like clicks.
Lots of clicks, honey.
Yeah, I think for myself, what I'm going to do now is I just finished this book and I'm going to revamp everything. For those of us that have been in this for a long time, like I am, like 16, probably 18 years on Facebook and things like that. A lot of the things and on Instagram, everything has changed. I mean, I do go on TikTok. I kind of like that, but I have to do a steady flow of what I used to do. I had people doing it, not doing it. I do a lot myself. And because I'm always promoting the shows and I'm just promoting constantly, but I'm going to revamp. So sometimes you have to do that because some of the things that worked before, and this is true though. Yeah, well, Delta, you've had issues with Facebook before. You know what that is.
Yeah.
So people that have certain pages at Facebook, they don't really work well with the others like they used to. And a lot of times you think it's put on, but then it's, I don't know where it is in Facebook heaven or someplace. It disappears. So you have to go back and check everything. So I think I have too many things, which is, I think you have to hone in on a few things. I'm excessive. I had 10 Facebook pages years ago, and it's still like sometimes I get messages that Marsha Casper Cook wants you to join something and it's me. So I don't know how that happens, but it does. So for those out there, just try to, if you're not having a PA or if you've had one you didn't like and you want to do it yourself, try to figure out what you did wrong because it, everything has changed a lot since years ago. You can't use the same uh, formats you've used before. It's not working. Facebook was great before. I mean, when I was with Red River when I first started 16 years ago, well, I kept saying, "Oh my God," because they were posting things everywhere. Now that doesn't happen now. But sometimes on TikTok, if you hear somebody giving advice, some of the advice is pretty good. I don't know. Does anybody go on TikTok?
I haven't.
I don't.
Well, but they have some very good tips from people. Book talk.
And they
And
have
there's
some
some,
really bad tips.
but well, the ones that I see, I don't think they're that bad. I don't know because maybe I don't, like my friends will say they saw this. I don't see certain things. So, because I don't comment a lot, so I just see what I see. And, but I've seen some tips that are pretty good.
I'm not saying there aren't good ones that come up, but there's also a lot of ones that are pretty scammy.
Well, that, yes. Well, well,
And
okay, okay, I'll say when they start charging, I do not listen. When they're just giving you a little tidbit, just a small one, it could make a difference. But I
sure.
get so much email of scamming, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. It's just, and some of it isn't even you want to look at them and go, look, honey, if you're going to try and scam me, at least put a little effort in it. I
Listen,
got one this
right.
week calling me about my book and how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
Book hasn't been published yet.
Yeah. Well, see, and the other thing, I try to stay off groups as much because I don't really want to get in arguments with people because they don't give people good advice. That's just why I've done my show for 16 years because I had clients that came to me after they already spent like 15 grand on getting a book
Mhm.
made.
Good Lord.
So that was so terrifying to me to know that these people were out there. This is like 10 years
Mhm.
ago.
I agree.
And it was so sad. So that's one of the reasons I give advice because I say, don't. And I would say, why didn't you just come to me first? Because people, and they didn't even get one book out of it. They had to buy their books, including all the money they paid.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. That part's very sad. So anybody out there listening, if you have a question, don't start paying a lot of money to people because it's not a good thing. And you're right, scammers are everywhere now.
Oh
They
yeah,
really
and they
are.
don't even put in half the effort. And
No.
then they get snarky with you. Why haven't I heard from you? Because you're
And
a
they
scammer and I
don't
have more
actually,
brains
a
than
lot of
that.
them don't know what they're talking about. And that part bothers me. That's why when I go in on Facebook and I see people giving people advice, you're right about those things though, because some of it is horrible. It's really bad. But there
Well,
are, what do? You can't stop it. So I don't go, that's why I don't go on a lot of those things because I really think it's terrible when you start giving people advice and you absolutely know nothing about what you're saying. And what about all they all have Zoom meetings and whatever. What happens? The Zoom meeting is good, but then they try to sell you things for thousands of dollars.
hmm
And
Mhm.
that part I listen to Zooms, but I don't when they start selling, I'm off.
yeah,
Because the advice wasn't bad, it's just now everything else was bad. So I mean, yeah, it's a tough place out there. So but it's nice like you all are friends now and so I think this is comforting. So if you have a question you can ask each other. But a lot of
exactly.
people don't have that. And I know you've said too that you will help people. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't think there's anybody in the Spice Girls that wouldn't help
right.
somebody if they
That's
reached
good to
out to
know.
us and
That's good.
private message us, put a message in the Spice Girls group, put a
Right.
message in my group and Irene's and Connie's and Annie's, all of that. Just reach out. Are there some people who will never answer you? Sure, there are. Are there some people who will blow you off? Sure, there are. But I think
Right.
a lot of writers will sit down and talk to you. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get, I get, when I go to a signing, I get as many authors who want to talk to me as readers.
Yeah.
Well, maybe more readers than authors, but I mean, there are plenty of authors that go, "Can I talk to you? Can we have a drink? Can we have
Yeah.
lunch? Can we have breakfast tomorrow?" They just want to talk. They want to ask, and I'm, you know, I'm always open to that. I know these ladies are too.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. Also, I wanted all three, all of you, but well, Deltas I have, but if you could send me your email, your websites, because the show's live and I don't cut it. It's not, I don't edit it, but I have a chance to put it other places. So when I do that, I add your websites. So if you could just send me your websites would be good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so what before we end the show, I'm Annie's gonna come on again. So if you guys want to come on again with her, because I will talk to her after this, we'll have another show if you feel like it. Uh, I didn't book too many shows for September because I was finishing my book. Next, I have to call Dar and get a cover. Let's talk about Dar. Okay, Dar,
Yeah.
yeah, she's great. So we will
She's
be.
the
I'll be
best.
calling. Yes. So I think and that's the other thing because like Delta, you told me about Dar. That's the thing, and I trust you enough to have called her and talked to her. And so I think
Mhm.
that's important because while we were just saying we don't want people to get scammed, ask a question.
Yeah.
So, because like when I saw Delta's covers, you think like, oh, she must spend a fortune. And
Mhm.
Dara's very reasonable and fair and good.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I
And
think the thing I tell people, I mean, I love Darn. I'm never going anywhere. If she
yeah,
quits the covers, I'll personally go up to Washington State and kick her behind. Um, but if you don't want to use Dar, that's I mean that's your business. You choose who you want to work with. But find a cover designer and
yeah,
stick with them to do your logo and your branding and all of your covers because that's how you get. Everybody talks about how cohesive my covers are. Yeah, there's a reason for that.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well, right, right. You know, and then they actually will know you. I mean, you're branded great, so I mean that's really important too.
that's Star. That's
Yeah,
Star and
yeah,
Renee. I'm telling
yeah,
you.
yeah. No, I
When
know,
you
right. But other people, you know, that's why we're all giving advice because we didn't just we don't learn we didn't get we're not born knowing all of this. You know, and that's why if people have questions, just ask for help.
So another great place for advice that I'd like to recommend is
Okay.
a Facebook group called Indie Author Support. You can
Okay.
search on it that way. It was founded by another writer friend of mine, and it's one of the largest networks on Facebook. You can go
Okay.
there, you can ask questions, you can get tons of free advice. You don't have to worry about anybody trying to sell you something because that's not allowed in that group. It's a peer group, writer to writer, and you can learn from each other, ask questions. There is a means through which you can ask for recommendations of companies or services you need, but it's not in any kind of selling or promotion format. You cannot self promote there. So I would highly recommend it, whether you're an experienced writer and just looking for something new or some advice, or whether you're in the process of writing and trying to learn.
Right. So it's indieauthorsupport.com.
No, it's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
And the name of the
Facebook.
group is Indie,
Okay.
INDIE, Author Support.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm so glad to meet you guys. And I hope you will come back on because I am going to have Annie Delta. You'll probably be good for another show.
I always
Where's
do
Chris?
stuff.
What happened to Chris? She was going to come on one of these shows.
I
Okay.
know. I have to tell you, you have to really kind of bug her about stuff like that.
Well, maybe
Um,
she'll come on a different show to talk about TV shows she likes. I
well,
haven't had one of
I
those.
think honestly, if she came on and talked about being an alpha reader and what that really means,
That
and
Mhm.
would
what
be
you
a good
can do
show.
as a beta reader, would be I think would be great information for people.
Yeah,
Um,
Scold's in the kitchen. Are you trying to volunteer me? Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she thought she was getting away with me not saying anything, right?
Yeah,
Almost the end of the show. I didn't say a word. All
you
right.
just have to bug her.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for being on the show. I hope you had a good time. And Annie, I'm sorry, but I will talk to you and we will do a show. And if any of you want to come on at any time, just email me if you have something you want to talk about. Also, I do other shows about talking about subjects that you might want to talk about. We talked about book banning. If you have any subjects that you like, I'm sure I can have a show on it
great. It
because
was nice meeting you, Marsha.
yes, thank you so much. And I can't see my screen now, so I will end the show without knowing anything else until I find it. I never usually do that, but I was trying to get Annie on, so I couldn't, so I can't see what I'm doing right now. So anyway, I'm done. All right, everybody, thank you again. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all luck. And I'm so glad you have each other. I think it's wonderful.
Me too.
Yeah, I do. It's a good thing.
Thanks,
All right.
Marsha.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You
You
thank
too.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.